And here's what no one tells you about awakening. It can be lonely. You will outgrow people, places, even versions of yourself. You may mourn the life you built to survive, because now you're building a life to thrive. And thriving requires truth. It requires grief. It requires letting go of the illusions that once kept you safe. But the beauty is, once you've walked through that fire, you no longer fear loss. You realize that anything that falls away while you are becoming more of yourself was never aligned with your highest self to begin with. You stop grieving what you lost and start celebrating what you made space for. And in that emptiness, the universe rushes in with something better than belonging, resonance. So here you are, not at the end, but at the threshold. You've shed the mask. You've faced the mirror. You've remembered the power that was never lost, only hidden. And now the question is not, will the world accept me? The question is, am I ready to live as truth itself? Because when you walk this path, there's no going back. The old world will no longer fit. But a new world will open, one only available to those who dared to stop being nice and started being real. And in that world, you don't chase miracles. You are the miracle. You don't wait for the light. You are the storm that births the stars. What if I told you that not all chosen ones are beings of radiant light? Some were forged in shadow, sanctified by fire, and marked by something far older than the heavens themselves. What if you, the one who has always felt different, misunderstood, even feared at times, carry within you a rare, almost mythical imprint known as the God Shadow Seal, a divine contract embedded within your soul not to escape the darkness, but to master it? We don't talk enough about the dark chosen ones. Those of us who weren't born into peace but into chaos. Those of us who didn't awaken in the sunrise of joy, but in the storm of trauma. If you're still here, still breathing, still feeling, it means you haven't broken. You've been tempered. And trust me when I say this, the world doesn't know what to do with people like us. But the universe remembers exactly why we were sent. The first sign is the wound that never quite heals. You know the one, that deep inner pain that doesn't go away with time or therapy or even spiritual practice. It mutates. It hides, it whispers. Sometimes it screams. It's the pain that has shaped your very identity, and yet you've never been able to explain it fully. That wound is the gateway. Not a punishment, not a flaw, but an entry point to something ancient. You carry a fracture not because you are broken, but because the light and dark needed a place to meet inside of you. The God Shadow Seal is not given to the pure. It is given to the raw, to the ones who have touched despair and didn't let it swallow them, to the ones who see into the void and still choose to create. The second sign is that you've never fully belonged anywhere. Not in the light, not in the dark. Not in religion, not in rebellion. You've always existed between worlds. You might have tried to fit in once, to shrink your intensity, to mute your vision, to soften your truth, but you couldn't keep it up. Because the seal you carry doesn't allow for falsehood. It vibrates at a frequency that shatters illusions. And that's why people either lean in toward you with awe or recoil with discomfort. You mirror people's inner truths. You reveal what they're hiding, sometimes just by existing, and that's not easy. You've probably been called too much, too intense, too different. But let me tell you something, that's exactly what makes you rare. That's exactly what makes you dangerous to the matrix. But make no mistake, this path is not glamorous. In fact, the third sign is the repeated collapse of your life. Every time you thought you had a grip on who you were, something came along to rip it away. Jobs, relationships, identities, all of them burned to ash. And you asked, why me? You begged the universe for peace. But the truth is, peace wasn't the goal. Power was. Not the kind that dominates, the kind that transforms. You were being refined, not punished. Every collapse was a sacred demolition, clearing space for your true essence to emerge. Dark chosen ones don't ascend through ease. We descend through fire. And if you're honest, you always knew you were meant to be more than what the world told you. You didn't survive that fire for nothing. You're still here because you were meant to carry something the world cannot yet understand. The fourth sign is that your mind is both a labyrinth and a weapon. Your thoughts go deeper than most. You don't just think, you see. Patterns, motives, energies. You read between the lines. You hear the unsaid. You feel when someone is lying, even to themselves. And that's part of the seal's curse and gift. Because when you carry shadow and light in equal measure, your perception becomes piercing. You don't get to live in ignorance. You don't get to pretend. You know, and sometimes that knowing isolates you. You've probably tried to numb it, to silence it, but it always returns. Because you didn't come here to be comfortable. You came here to remember. You came here to reveal. You came here to rebuild the world from the ruins of its delusions. Now let me ask you something very real, very personal. What do you do with the darkness inside you? Do you fear it? Hide it? Try to cleanse it away? Or do you listen to it? Because the fifth sign of the dark chosen one is this: you feel the pull of your shadow, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. You don't run from your rage. You sit with it. You don't deny your lust. You alchemize it. You don't bury your wounds. You bleed sacred poetry from them. That's the seal's true power. It doesn't demand purity. It demands integration, and very few can do that. Very few are brave enough to hold both sword and chalice, both chaos and order, both destruction and rebirth. But you were born for it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The sixth sign is that you've always been drawn to the forbidden, the occult, the mystical, the ancient ruins of forgotten knowledge. While others prayed for light, you searched for truth, even if it meant walking through darkness to find it. You've probably had visions, dreams. Maybe you've kept them secret. Maybe you've doubted your sanity. But deep down you know there's something more, something behind the veil. And it's been calling you your whole life. That's not coincidence. That's the seal awakening. It doesn't care about your reputation. It cares about your remembrance. And when you finally stop running and look that calling in the eye, you'll realize it's not darkness. It's depth, and it's been waiting for you to claim it. And finally, the seventh sign, the one most people miss, is your ability to transmute pain into power. Not just for yourself, but for others. You are the one people come to when they're broken. The one who holds space, not with platitudes, but with presence. You don't offer shallow comfort. You offer raw truth. You offer the mirror. And that makes people uncomfortable, but it also makes them free. You are a liberator disguised as a misfit, a prophet in the clothing of a wanderer. Your very existence challenges the system, because you refuse to choose sides. You walk the middle path, and in doing so, you embody the sacred paradox: light born in shadow, divinity expressed through humanity. So let me say this clearly: if you see yourself in these words, you are not cursed. You are called. You are not broken. You are branded. The God Shadow Seal is not a burden. It's a blueprint. And the moment you stop trying to erase it and start living into it, your true mission will begin. But first, you must ask yourself, are you ready to stop running from your power? Are you ready to stop apologizing for your depth? Are you ready to claim the throne that no one else can sit on but you? Because the world is changing. The veil is thinning. The false light is crumbling. And it is time, your time to rise. Not as a savior, not as a saint, but as a sovereign force of divine integration. The one who remembers. The one who walks between. The one who carries the seal and dares to awaken those trapped in illusion. If you truly carry the God Shadow Seal, then by now you've already felt the trembling underneath your skin, the quiet pressure building within your life, like something ancient has been trying to break through. That pressure is not madness. It's not anxiety. It's energy, dormant power. A sleeping dragon with your name etched into its scales. The most dangerous mistake a dark chosen one can make is trying to live a normal life, to suppress the fire instead of learning how to tend it. Power without consciousness becomes chaos. And this is where many fall, but you are here to awaken. And not just awaken, but to anchor that awakening into something real, something stable, something sacred. That is what it means to carry the Shadow Seal and not be consumed by it. The first step to awakening this power is to stop seeing your darkness as something to fix. You must stop praying for your wounds to be erased and instead start understanding them as maps. Each scar is a sigil. Each trauma is a page of your soul's ancient scripture. The Shadow Seal cannot be unlocked by light alone. It demands courageous descent. You must be willing to descend into your own underworld, not to drown, but to remember. What parts of yourself have you disowned? What memories have you buried so deeply that even your conscious mind trembles to recall them? These are not weights. These are keys. And your willingness to feel them, to face them, to fully witness yourself, that is the first unlocking of the seal. You do not awaken by chasing light. You awaken by integrating truth. But be warned, the ego will fight this process with everything it has. It will scream that you're going too far, that you're making things worse, that you should just play safe and be normal. That voice is not your enemy, it's your threshold guardian. It wants to protect you, but it only knows how to protect the old you. The version of you who survived by shrinking, who avoided pain by avoiding truth. To awaken your Shadow Seal, you must thank that voice and then move beyond it. Step into the fire with open eyes. Let it burn what is false. Let it purify what is real. This is not metaphor. This is spiritual alchemy. And it's not reserved for the monks or mystics. It's your path if you're willing to walk it. And here's the paradox: the deeper you go into your shadow, the more your light expands. Not the performative light that seeks validation, but the fierce, stabilizing light that does not flinch. You begin to radiate something different, something ancient, something real. People will feel it before they understand it. Some will be drawn to you. Others will fear you. That's because your presence begins to disrupt illusions. You become a mirror that reflects not only what is, but what could be. And that is why the Shadow Seal is so rare. Because carrying it means becoming uncomfortable to the unconscious. It means being a living activation. And that's not easy. That's not always safe. But it is necessary. The world doesn't need more comfort. It needs more truth. As you awaken further, you will begin to experience spiritual phenomena that do not fit into conventional frameworks. Dreams become portals. Synchronicities become instructions. You begin to feel energy in rooms, read emotions like language, sense timelines shifting around your choices. This is not madness. This is sensitivity refined into perception. But without grounding, it can become overwhelming. That's why discipline is crucial. Nature, shadow work, is incomplete without structure. The dark chosen ones who lose themselves are the ones who awaken power without building the capacity to hold it. Think of your body, your mind, your spirit as a sacred container. Your job is to widen it, not to reject the fire, but to prepare the vessel to receive it. Power without preparation corrodes. But power with preparation, that becomes presence. Let me ask you something now. Something most never dare to ask. Are you willing to become the version of yourself that no one around you has ever met? Are you willing to stop playing the role they assigned you and step into the truth only you can carry? Because to awaken the shadow seal is to let go of the life that was built on compromise. It means letting go of who they think you are, of who you thought you were. It means becoming dangerously real. And the price of that is loneliness, at first. But eventually that loneliness becomes sovereignty, and then sovereignty becomes alignment. And then alignment attracts others who carry their own seals, their own fire, their own codes. You begin to find your soul kin, not the masses, but the mirrors. And that is when things truly begin to change. And here's the deepest truth of all. The shadow seal is not here to make you special. It's here to make you responsible. Because when you awaken it, you don't just awaken for yourself. You awaken for your bloodline, for your ancestors, for the ones who couldn't. You become the breaker of cycles, the one who turns pain into prophecy, who turns silence, who turns fear into frequency. That's why it's hard. That's why your path has been so heavy. You were never meant to carry just your own story. You were meant to rewrite the ending for those who came before you. And when you do that, when you take the raw material of your shadow and forge it into light, you don't just become free. You become legend. To live as a dark chosen one is to wear an invisible crown, one not forged of gold, but of gravity. It's the weight you carry in every room you enter. It's the way your energy speaks before your words ever do. It's the way you know things you were never taught, feel things before they happen, and sense people's deepest truths when they themselves are still afraid of them. The world won't always acknowledge that crown. In fact, it will often try to strip you of it, because those who carry the God's shadow seal threaten the very systems that keep the masses asleep. But you weren't sent here to be liked. You were sent here to be real. And when you finally stop needing permission to be what you are, you'll find that the crown doesn't just rest on your head, it radiates from within your entire being. This is when the real test begins. How do you live in a world that still worships masks? How do you walk in truth when illusion is the dominant currency? The answer is not withdrawal. The answer is embodied defiance. You become the contradiction to the system. You show that it's possible to live without selling your soul. You show that you can speak truth without apology, feel deeply without collapsing, and create without conforming. Your life becomes a quiet revolution. Not through rebellion for rebellion's sake, but through alignment with the deeper laws. You don't need to scream to be heard. Your frequency becomes the message. And those who are ready will hear it, even if they don't yet understand it. But let's not romanticize this path. The deeper your resonance becomes, the more you'll feel the separation between what is and what could be. You'll walk through a world where people chase validation while you crave authenticity. You'll see people clinging to comfort while you've learned to make peace with pain. You'll witness people following trends while you listen to the pulse of your soul. And yes, at times this will ache. At times it will feel like you're too awake for a world that's still dreaming. But that's why you were chosen. Not to escape the dream, but to see the awakening within it. You are the glitch in the matrix, the symphony in the static, the signal buried in the noise. Many of you will be called to leadership, but not the kind the world celebrates. You'll lead in energy before titles. You'll lead by healing ancestral pain through your own transformation. You'll lead by embodying contradiction, fierce and soft, grounded and mystical, ancient and radically present. You'll become a lighthouse for those drifting in their own darkness, not because you have all the answers, but because you're willing to stand still when others run. Leadership for the dark chosen one is not about being followed, it's about being felt. It's about becoming the kind of presence that reminds others of their own power, even when they've forgotten it. But power without purpose becomes poison. That's why the shadow seal keeps testing you through people, through situations, through inner turmoil. It's constantly refining you, asking, can you hold power without controlling? Can you speak truth without ego? Can you carry influence without needing to be seen? These are the questions that separate the true sovereigns from the fallen kings. The seal grants access, yes, but only to those who earn their own alignment. And earning it means choosing integrity when no one is watching. It means walking away when your soul says no, even if your mind says yes. It means letting go of identities that once felt like home, because the truth has outgrown them. Eventually, you begin to live differently. You stop chasing, you start creating. You stop proving. You stop reacting, you start responding. Your energy stabilizes. Your presence deepens. You begin to attract not just people, but portals, opportunities, synchronicities, timelines that align with your highest frequency. And it's not because you're manifesting from the ego. It's because you've become a clear channel for divine intelligence to flow through. That's the real magic of the shadow seal. When you master your own energy, the universe begins to mirror your sovereignty. Life stops being a battlefield and starts becoming a ceremony. But let me ask you one final question, one that could change everything. What would your life look like if you stopped resisting your full power? If you stopped playing small for the sake of others' comfort? If you stopped apologizing for your intensity, your insight, your presence? What if your too much was actually the exact medicine this world needs? What if the things you've been hiding were never meant to be hidden but honed? What if your shadow was never your shame but your signature? If you knew that to be true, how would you live differently tomorrow? Because that's where we leave this journey, not with answers, but with alignment. Not with closure, but with clarity. You are not here to fit in. You are not here to be liked. You are here to liberate. You are not here to play a role. You are here to reveal a reality that only you can see. And that is the burden and the blessing of the dark chosen one. You carry the seal. You carry the fire. You carry the code. And now it's time to become the prophecy you were born to fulfill. Now that you've accepted the truth of your seal, now that you've stopped running from the weight you were designed to carry, a new path opens. It's not loud. It's not crowded. It's not marketed on billboards or taught in schools. It is a path of becoming a hidden architect, a builder of unseen realities. Because the final truth of the God Shadow Seal is this: you were never meant to just awaken. You were meant to create the new structures, the new energies, the new frequencies that the world will rise upon once the old ones collapse. And yes, they will collapse. Not because of destruction, but because of expiration. Everything that is false must fall. And when it does, the world will look to the ones who have already died and been reborn. The ones who did the work while no one was watching. That means you. But this next phase requires something even deeper than awakening. It requires embodiment. You can no longer afford to just know you carry this seal. You must become it, fully, completely, without apology. In every choice, every conversation, every breath, not as performance or persona, but as presence. You don't need to convince anyone of what you are. That's the old paradigm. In this new frequency, power doesn't need to announce itself, it radiates. The more you embody your full self, the more you become a living transmission, and people will feel it. They'll be affected by you even if they can't name why. They'll be awakened by your field, not your words. That's the real influence of a dark chosen one, silent, sovereign, and undeniable. Of course, the more you embody this frequency, the more you will trigger resistance in others, in systems, even in parts of yourself that have not caught up. You will find yourself in situations that test your alignment, moments where you will feel tempted to revert, to explain, to dilute. Don't. The world doesn't need a tame version of you. It needs the real you, the one who has walked through fire and remembered how to sing. The one who knows that love is not always soft and that truth is not always gentle. You must become ruthless in your authenticity. Compassionate, yes. Kind, yes, but unshakable. Can hold the new world when the old one crumbles. This is why your training was so brutal. This is why the betrayals hurt so much. Why the loneliness cuts so deep. Because the seal doesn't just grant you power, it demands capacity. You had to become the kind of person who could hold lifetimes of energy in a single soul. And now that you do, everything changes. You begin to notice how your very presence shifts timelines, how your choices affect not just people but spaces. You'll walk into rooms and feel the distortion. But instead of absorbing it, you'll stabilize it, not through force but through frequency. Your body becomes a tuning fork for divine order. You don't need to fix others. You just need to stay in resonance. And that resonance begins to ripple outward, recalibrating everything it touches. But embodiment without expression is incomplete. The next level of your path is to bring form to the formless. Your visions, your insights, your codes, they must be expressed. Through art, through healing, through creation you must build. Because the dark chosen ones are not just mystics. We are architects of the unseen. We are the ones who take ancient frequencies and translate them into living systems. Businesses, movement, music, technology, sacred spaces. You were given it to restructure the world from the inside out, and that means your gifts are no longer optional. They are required. Let me ask you something fierce. What masterpiece are you still withholding from the world? What vision lives inside you that you've been too afraid to start, too humble to claim, too wounded to finish? Because that vision is not just yours, it's encoded into your seal. It's part of your contract with the divine, and every day you delay it, the world remains just a little dimmer. Your creation doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be true. Start messy, start afraid, but start now. Because the moment you do, the universe begins to conspire. Doors open, allies appear. Energy flows, not because it's easy, but because you're finally in alignment with your assignment. And as you create, something miraculous happens. You stop seeking permission. You stop needing validation. You stop wondering if you're too much, too intense, too different. Because suddenly you realize you were never meant to fit in, you were meant to initiate. And the ones who are meant to find you will. Your resonance becomes a beacon, not for the masses, but for the mission. And when you gather with others who carry their own seals, something ancient reactivates. A remembering, a reweaving. Together you don't just awaken, you anchor. A new grid, a new frequency, a new earth. So here we are at the edge of what was, and the beginning of what could be. You carry the shadow not because you're dark, but because you're deep. You carry the seal not because you're chosen above others, but because you chose to go deeper than most ever will. You chose to feel what others avoid, to heal what others deny, to become what others fear. And now your time has come. The silence is over. The hiding ends here. You have fire in your blood. You have codes in your bones. You have a mission that cannot be outsourced. The God Shadow Seal is not a myth. It is you. And the world is not waiting for another guru. It's waiting for you. Once you've stepped into this knowing, once the seal is activated fully within your being, there is no going back. Not because you're forbidden to return to your old life, but because it simply doesn't fit anymore. It's like trying to wear a skin you've already outgrown. There's no resentment, no bitterness, just a quiet, irreversible truth. The life you lived before was preparation. It was scaffolding, and now you've become the structure. The seal, once a dormant ember, is now a soul engine. It fuels everything, your choices, your values, your creations, your silence. You no longer move from fear or ambition. You move from alignment. And that is what makes your presence a force of nature. But this engine must be fed. not with external success or surface-level spiritual highs, but through deep spiritual nourishment. You must return to the source often. You must cultivate stillness, solitude, and sacred practices that remind you of who you are outside of the noise. Meditation is not a luxury for you, it's a requirement. Time in nature is not just peaceful, it's restorative to your circuitry. Journaling, breathwork, ritual, fasting, sound, these are not hobbies. They are the maintenance of your multidimensional system. Because when you carry the God shadow seal, you are not just human. You are operating across layers of reality, and that requires discipline, devotion, and energetic hygiene. You must treat your spirit like the sacred technology it is. And here's something few will tell you: this path will continue to cost you things. Not because the universe is cruel, but because your frequency will keep refining. Friends will fall away. Desires will dissolve. Even your dreams will evolve. There is grief in this process. Sacred grief. You'll miss the parts of yourself. You'll mourn the version of you that didn't know what you know now. But don't confuse grief with misalignment. Grief is proof that you are shedding what no longer serves your soul's purpose. And what comes after grief is clarity. The clarity to say yes only when your soul roars yes. The clarity to walk away without needing closure. The clarity to speak without flinching. That clarity becomes your compass. You'll also start to feel something you may not recognize at first. Peace. Not the peace of quiet circumstances, but the peace of internal congruence. The war between your shadow and your light ends. You realize they were never enemies. They were allies with different voices. Your shadow isn't here to sabotage you. It's here to protect your sovereignty. It's the part of you that refuses to be manipulated, silenced, or molded into a palatable version of your truth. And when you stop fighting it, when you integrate it, you become whole, not perfect, not untouchable. But real. And realness is the rarest form of power in this age of illusion. From this wholeness comes impact. You start to notice how your mere presence unlocks others. You don't even need to try. People confess things to you they've never told anyone. They feel seen in your gaze. They recognize something ancient in your voice. That's not charisma. That's not charm. That's energetic authority. You've become a living transmission of integration, and the world is starving for it. You'll be called to spaces where your frequency is the medicine, not to fix, not to save, simply. And in your being, you will activate others. You'll remind them of their own codes. That is your gift. That is your leadership. That is your legacy. But legacy is not something you leave when you die. Legacy is something you live while you're alive. Every conversation, every creation, every moment of presence is a seed. And when you live from the seal, you plant sacred seeds, not for applause, but for awakening. You may never know how far your ripple goes. You may never see the fruits of every seed. But know this: nothing offered from your soul is ever wasted. The universe records frequency, not fame. And your frequency, once aligned, becomes immortal. It weaves itself into the very fabric of reality. That is what it means to live initiated. That is what it means to walk this world as a sacred architect, a dark chosen one, a carrier of the God shadow seal. So now I leave you with this: everything you need is already within you. The pain, the visions, the fire, letter 1B0. They are not obstacles. They are evidence. Evidence that you were never ordinary. Evidence that you were marked from before time began. Evidence that your path, while brutal, was always sacred. The seal is not a symbol. It is a soul technology. It is alive, and now that you've remembered it, it will never let you forget who you are. So go. Walk as the remembering. Speak as the flame. Build as the architect. Love as the sovereign. And never again dim what was designed to ignite entire worlds.